Hello, everybody. So this is part 3 of the horror games tutorials for Unreal Engine 5. I'll leave a link in the description for part 1 and part 2. Short brief, part 1 was how the player could trigger a light breaking with a sound effect for people that obviously want to learn Unreal. And part 2 was how to set up a branch as a true and false, basically to fire off the code if it's true, so something has to be activated in the scene prior to the code being able to fire off, or if it's false, nothing will happen. So in this video we're going to take a bit more of a look at level sequences and how we can set up things like doors slamming and advancing a little bit more on branches, and how to maybe like a recap on how to set them up. So without further ado, let's jump onto this now and let's get that set up for you. So you can follow along to this if you want to make your own test map. So you just go to File, New Level, and then you click on Basic, and you'll end up with a screen that looks like this, with only these objects: a simple floor shape set down and a skybox with your directional light, which you can control here. So we'll leave that, put it at 5. So in the map, we're gonna quickly make a scene using just the default blocking tools, nothing fancy, nothing extravagant, just literally just default shapes. So we're going to set this up now. Something simple. So if you are following along, then yeah, we're just going to make some walls with a doorway, and then we're going to animate the door and add some sound effects to it. So let's make it a little bit longer, and we will move this side out slightly to create a door frame, and then we can add a SM door content. Which one? That'll do. So we need to make it a little bit taller. So once we've got this set up, we can then jump into our level sequencer, and I'll show you how to set up a door animation. Let's see, we've got door frames. Door frame. They're going to be the wrong size, but that's fine, we can stretch it out. Let's turn snapping off. And across. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that'll do for now. So as long as our pivot point is set to the left hand side, if you have your own custom object and you want to create the pivot point and move it to the side so it opens in the correct, on the correct axis, then you want to go up to selection mode, click on modeling, and then you'll find under transform pivot, and then you can free move that pivot point to wherever you want it to be. You can use the preset condition boxes for the positions, and then once you've done that and you're happy with the spot that it's in, you click accept, and then the door should open the correct way, as a door should. Okay, so next let's add a quick ceiling, a roof. that off. Get rid of that so the light can't come through. And then we can move this layer up one. And then add a simple block for the roof or the ceiling. So that's that pretty much done. I mean, we could texture it as well, but for what it's worth, I may as well just leave it as is. So let's just say this is your corridor, and you want to have the door animate as maybe as the player walks into the corridor, like the door slamming. So you would add a trigger to the scene, and we can have this so when the player approaches the door, it stops. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can't miss it as we walk through. Okay, perfect. And then we'll rename that box to stop door animation trigger. So now we know exactly what this is doing in our scene. And then apologies, I'm a bit under the weather. So then with our door selected, we want to click up here on our mezzanine, our scene actor level sequencer, and then we want to rename this to maybe slamming door SEQ for sequence. And then we highlight our door, add to track, so we click on the plus track button up here, and then actor to sequence, and then because we've already got it selected in the scene, it'll already appear. So we want to figure out the axis that we want it to open on, which will be this way, that way. Perfect. So we're going to go to transform, we're going to get rid of scale and location because we don't need them. And then we want this to open this way, so we know that it's this, it's the yaw. Yep. So we're going to click keyframe because this is its default position, so the start location. So add a new keyframe, and then set it to 1. And we can then move the door to 30 degrees, click the plus, make sure it's going the right way, which is perfect. And then we'll select 2, click enter, and then can highlight our first keyframe, and then alt and drag to the 2-second mark, and then that'll set that slamming motion. So the door will open, the door will close. Now if you know it's not slamming because it's too slow, and an easy way to fix that is to highlight this grey bar. This is new to 5.1, so if you're still running on 5 you might not see this. So they added this in the patch on one of the updates. So you click and drag, and then we can set the time of how fast the door slamming animation is. So then when we go back and then we click play, we can see that the door is considerably faster. We want our end marker to be around the 2 seconds, because then we're going to add an audio track into the scene so it constantly plays the sound when the door slams. So we're going to click track, go to audio track, and then in this box here on this one we're going to click plus audio and then slam. Now you probably don't have this sound effect, but I'll include it for 7 days as a free download to anybody that wants to use it. So we'll pick one. That'll do. And then we can see there on our sound we have our start time and our end time, and now we know that our door slams around this keyframe. So we're going to click and drag, and we're going to test that to make sure it fits. Perfect. So we press play and the door slams. And we want our end timer to just be at the end of that sound volume. Now the reason we've set it up like this is because we're going to do an autoplay and a repeat, so it can constantly play this animation until it's deactivated by a player, a switch, or some kind of a sequence or an event. So if we can see now, we click play and it should open and then close, slam, and play audio track. Perfect. And if we repeat that, it's perfectly timed and the sound works. So I hope you're still following along. We're going to save that, close our sequence, and now Unreal will automatically create your little sequencer, and it will place it sometimes in really strange places like under the map. So you're just going to grab that, bring that to the door. Always try and keep these near the object that you're working on, so you know that this sequence player is associated with this door. And then what we're going to do with this highlighted, we're going to go over to our outliner on the side in the details box. We're going to look for autoplay, and then we're going to go to loop, and then loop indefinitely, and then leave everything else set to default. So it's just autoplay, check, loop indefinitely. Now if we click the play button, that door will open and slam to its heart's content, and it will never stop slamming. So now we have to, if you can imagine this in a game, in a level, the player is walking down a corridor, this door randomly starts slamming, you've got lightning going off in the background, you've got your lights set up, your scene's looking really good ambient wise, you've got really good atmosphere, you've built tension, and you could have multiple things happen. So as the player approaches the door, we can just have it turn off, and then on a delay we could have a large sound effect like a scream or a crying baby or whatever you want to add. So for this one, we're just going to learn how to deactivate this level sequence. So up here in your level blueprint, we're going to open level blueprint up. Let me just grab it from the other screen. 1 second. There we go. And in here, let's minimize that for a second. We want the trigger box and we want the sequence, but let's focus on this first. So we'll take that, click on your trigger, and then you're gonna right click, add event, on act to begin overlap, and then you are going to cast to first person character. As I've said on my other videos, if you're playing on a third person game and you've got an over the shoulder camera view, then it would be cast to third person character. So it's the same process, just slightly different word in there. Your other actor is object. Out of this, we're going to do a do once, so we're not trying to constantly fire off the code. And then on your main scene in your editor, we want to highlight our level sequence, go into our level blueprint, so this one, and I'm going to right click, create reference to slamming door sequence, and then we're just going to stop sequence player. Excuse me. And that literally is going to be, let's add a little delay just for effect, why not, and then we'll do 0.3, and then actually, yeah, I'll do. So let's see how that goes. So player's walking through the corridor, we can clearly see the door slamming. And as you approach the door, it stops. So, a great way to add a little bit of fear to the player, a bit of uncertainty, anxiety, he's not really knowing what's going on. And now, if we want to add on to that, we could do, let's say, after our slamming door, we could do play sound at location. We could do a delay of, let's say, maybe 2 seconds, and then we can add in, let's say, laugh. Which one? That'll do. So we want auto activate off, and then we want to place that in the scene, and then we want to set multiplier to 2. That'll do. And then make sure it's highlighted, and then we're going to click on, let's get rid of that actually, and play audio component. Let's see if that works. It should do. So the door slamming should trigger the door to stop and then play the audio. So we'll reduce the delay on that one, and this can be any sound that you like. We'll do 1 second. Doesn't have to be this particular audio file. It doesn't really fit for what's happening in the scene. But yeah, just as a reference, just as an idea. So we've got the door slamming, player approaches the door, it stops the animation, and then it plays an audio file. So it's easy to link things up and create a sequence of events. So as the player walks over the box, it detects that it's the first person character. So this is this part. This is looking for an interaction. The other actor that it's interacted with and found is the first person character. It's going to fire this code off once, so we're not going to end up with a laughing lady constantly over and over again. There's a small delay. The door stops, stop animation. A small delay again for 1 second, and then we play that laughing audio at the end. We could then go one step further, quite simply on this one, by if we had multiple lights set up, if you wanted to add that to the line of code, let's say we do point lights, and we make a couple of them, and then we drop down our scene lighting from our directional light to 0, just so it's just these lights, and then we highlight both of these, drop this down to, let's say, 5, and then we do attenuation to 300. So we've got a dimly lit corridor, and now the door slamming, and we could have the lights explode at the end. So let's get a little bit more creative. For those of you that are experienced with Unreal, this is more of a beginner side tutorial, so apologies if you're getting bored, but for people that are new to Unreal, this can be like icing on the cake for them, learning new tricks and how to set up sequences. So with these two lights selected, we're going to jump back into our level blueprint. So up here, open level blueprint. We're going to select both of these, scroll down to create reference to two selected actors, and then we're going to set visibility, light component, drag both of them in. And then we, let's say, drag that in there, and then play sound at location. We'll do 2 seconds, sorry, multiply that by 2 on the audio, and for this one, bulb. And then we can, okay, so then the door slam stops, girl laughs, bulbs break. So let's see how that all works. Okay, so that I'll leave that there on this tutorial. I'll have a think and then pop another one up soon, part 4. But yeah, so you've got plenty of events going on there. A very simple but effective way to add a bit of tension to the player. You could leave it then like 30-40 seconds, maybe a couple of minutes, and then add a jump scare, which would be quite effective because he's already on edge. But yeah, so thanks for watching. If you enjoy the content, please like, share, and consider subscribing. If you're already a subscriber, I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you very much for doing that. Thanks to people that have subscribed on Patreon. That money there on the funds will go towards helping with the game development, these tutorials, and me taking time out of my day to sit at a computer and make sure I can get these done. So I appreciate you all. So I'll see you next time. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your week. Cheers guys and girls. Bye now.